Betsy Johnson, Karl Lagerfeld, and other designers come up to me and say, my whole fall collection was designed after you.
I love people. It's not the fashion. It's the people in fashion I love.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Bro Zay here, and we're back with the new video. And welcome to Analyzing the Eras. As you can see in the title, we're going to be analyzing, you already know, the Queen, Lil Kim, Kimberly Jones. We're going to go from hardcore to 9. Even though, in my opinion, I think 9 is an EP. But that's just my opinion, though. But yes, we're going to analyze each fashion era. Let's get to the video. So just to give a little bit of background about Lil Kim. Lil Kim grew up in Brooklyn, New York in 1976. At the young age, Kim grew into liking fashion, seeing her influencers like her mother, Diana Ross, Salt and Pepper, and her friends who came out before her like Mary J. Blige and Janet Jackson. By seeing these people like her mother and Diana Ross and famous, glamorous ladies like that, it was only destined for Lil Kim to be a fashion icon. Kim even mentioned this back in her No Matter What They Say song in 2000. Also mentioned in a documentary before, her mother gave her a mink coat in middle school. Kim actually used to work in Bloomingdale's, which is a well-known American luxury department store. So she was already integrating herself in fashion, working at this luxury store and seeing the different designers and different ladies in fashion growing up as a young teen. Kim also used to roll with a group of ladies called the Gabbana Girls, which are her friends from around her neighborhood, and they used to roll together where they used to wear, real nice name brand things. And you can also hear when she talks about the Gabbana Girls more so in her 1996 era on her album Hardcore. So let's begin. So let's start with the conspiracy era. So that spans from 1994 to early 96. So around that time, fashion took a turn and it was more polished, form-fitting styles. Popular mid-90s looks for women included tailored skirts and pantsuits, slip dresses, hot pants, and skirts in satin, metallic, sequins, and vinyl fabric. And in the early to mid-90s. During that time, a lot of the style has become more feminine. Again, slip dresses epitomized minimalist look, while other styles happen as well. So it was very a feminine era during that time, but I would definitely say it was more modest. Well, for Kim during that time. So Kim was taking that style, as you can see, and she was adapting to her with her swag and her nature. Kim was rocking a lot of shortcuts, some finger waves. She also did silk dresses, headscarves, leather jackets, and classic tan fur coats. So Kim was definitely in that era, but she was still adapting to her. It was kind of like more so like mob wife appeal. You can also normally see this in Players Anthem videos and Need You Tonight and Get Money. In Players Anthem, she had the headscarf, the glasses, the leather jacket, some shorts on. She also was rocking her fur coat. Then in Get Money, she was still wearing, a nice trench, a red dress with the fur. Then, she had the pantsuit with the boots and the glasses with the little short cut. So she was still adapting to that 94, 95 era. Yeah, Kim was still being sexy. She was still being glamorous, but more so in a modest tone compared to what we know what she's going to do next. And a little bit simplistic. Moving on to the summer 95, she was still fully clothed, but in 1995 she wore this pantsuit. It was like a matching top. It was lace during her 1995 Summer Jam show. So as you can see, it was covered, but it was still sexy with the lace. You still could see a little bit of skin. It was still modest to what we know Kim's going to do in the next year. So however, when moving on from 95 to 96, we start to see Kimberly move into the hardcore era, which really set the foundation of Lil Kim's style and what we know her to be today. During this time, Kim was walking fashion shows like from Carl Connie to Fat Fashion. You can see in each of these videos that Kim was still sexy, but it was still in that 94, 95. It was still in that style, but it was still her at the same time. It was still how she put a spin on it. Now that was the conspiracy era. I definitely feel like this era is definitely underrated in Kim's catalog, but we do have to note she was only like 18 to 20 during this era, so she was still developing a style of who she was and who she is. But I definitely think it was an underrated fashion era for Kim. Now let's move on to hardcore. Now this era I would definitely say it spans from 96 to 98. So around this time Kim was gaining a lot of popularity beginning of 96 from the hits from Conspiracy like Get Money, Need You Tonight, Players Anthem, but to also guest features and remixes. You can see in the No More Games video and No One Else, Kim was still designer out, real cute, you know, still very feminine, but you started to see a slow shift into what she was wearing. For example, she would perform in clubs in this 1996 in this vintage Chanel bodysuit with the matching red Chanel glasses. During this time, Kim and Chanel were like best friends. When you probably thought of Chanel, you thought of Lil Kim. Kim loved Chanel during this era. She even mentioned it in the song, "Shoes from Chanel, I be that female, can't you tell?" And it's also good to mention Kim really started to work with Misa Hilton during this time. Misa Hilton is a known pioneer in fashion industry who styled the likes of Mary J. Blige, Biggie, Jodeci, Foxy Brown. She styled a lot of people. She's definitely known for helping your favorite R&B hip hop artists with their style and kind of helping to push the term ghetto fabulous out into the world. So shout out to Misa Hilton. So gearing up for her release for her album in 1996, Hardcore, she will be taking a lot of major fashion risks. One is the iconic Lil Kim poster, as you can see, in this cheetah bikini with a fur jacket to match, furry trimmings on it. I think it was sourced from Patricia Fields. This was probably the first iconic thing. I think this one was really just stamped Kim on the map, and there's a lot of history behind that poster. You can see Kim was wearing a lot of see-through tops and bodysuits in this era, you know, with no bra under it, so you could see everything. In this era, she was definitely wearing more diverse hairstyles. Definitely the blonde was becoming a signature of hers. She was wearing a lot of two pieces. This era, she's basically, you know, was like, I'm owning my sexuality, and people started deeming her the Black Madonna during this era, which I low-key hate that term, because Lil Kim was her own in her own right, or at least deem her something, I guess, like, you know, something a little bit different, but that's just my opinion. Kim will rock some of the amazing looks during her press tour before and after release of Hardcore. It featured a lot of Versace, Chanel, like Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, and more. Kim loved a lot of Chanel accessories. Yeah, Kim was definitely becoming a labels girl. And mind you, quick thought, she was buying this out of pocket. This was before she was buddying up with different designers. So we have to give it up to her and Misa. Some notable fashion picks in this era, because it's so many, because it sets the foundation and it spreads from 96 to 98. But I'm going to just give you a couple ones. The bodysuit that she wore in her album cover booklet, it was from Daryl Dalrymple. She wore this monochrome orange look. It was the fur coat and the matching orange top with the shorts and some orange boots with the glasses to match. I think that's definitely still a staple. So you can still see people rock now. During the MTV Awards, when she performed Ladies Night along with Missy Elliott and Left Eye and the Brat, she wore this crystal skirt, a crystal thong, and bra that she paired with the embellished headpiece. And you can see people like Cardi B, who actually kind of remade that and put her own spin on that look in one of her music videos. She also, in the Soul Train War, she had a silver headpiece with the asymmetrical dress that was silver and beads on her arm. I feel like that look was definitely underrated. And even her shoes were like something different. They weren't like a regular shoe, they were kind of like a wedge. We can't forget the iconic Crush on You, styled by Misa, which is deemed one of her most iconic looks and videos that she ever has done, with colorful coats by Hector Extravaganza, who was in the ballroom scene. That music video just sets the tone for who she was. I love the monochrome looks during this time. My favorite color, I would definitely say, is definitely the red and the green. Every look was amazing, but I feel like the red fur with the matching bikini and the green pixie cut with the green pasties, I feel like those two are really like memorable looks, because you can see the impact of them still to this day. Again, back to the Ladies Night music video though. I talked about the performance, but also in the music video, the blonde hair and the Versace white outfit, the accessories, even when she wore the blonde hair and the purple lipstick, like I see those remakes on Halloween. Even the rehearsal, she wore Jean Paul Gaultier Gaultier practicing. She practiced in Jean Paul Gaultier. Like, come on, it doesn't get no better than that. Of course, we can't forget the notable All About the Benjamins look, the blonde hair with the all black look, dressing all black like the Omen. I still, use that saying. A lot of girls are mimic that look all to this day. They may not say it's from her, but that blonde, bright, bleach blonde hair with the all black look, that's Kim. Some other notable styles was the Chanel suspenders, the white shirt, the Chanel belt, and the red pants that she wore in the I Can't Stand the Rain video, which was, replicated by, Beyonce. It is kind of cool that Beyonce kind of wore a lot of looks from the hardcore era. I think it's kind of notable to say, like, that was really the foundation of Kim, like, being that fashion icon. She was only like 20 to 23 years old, so Kim was making a lot of these fashion risks at such a young age. But yeah, back to another notable looks, because there's so many. Her wearing Betsy Johnson 1998 for Candies. During that time, she was definitely kind of entering her cover girl era, such as The Source, Vibe magazine. She was on Paper magazine. In Vogue with Mary J. Blige and Missy Elliott. So she was definitely entering her cover girl era. She was also getting to her ambassador bag towards the end of the hardcore era. After the passing of her mentor Biggie in 1990, Kim had to get back on the high horse, so she took that with stride. In 1998, she signed with Wilhelmina Models. In that same year, she was the face of Candies, which I mentioned was one of my favorite looks, alongside Brandy. And she became the first and only female rapper to endorse that company to date. As well as being known for her explicit music during this era, she was definitely beginning to get noticed by her fashion and looks that she was taking. And during this time, she was also beginning to become close friends with Donatella Versace and rubbing elbows with Giorgio Armani, and meeting the famous photographer David LaChapelle, who shot her Candies campaign shoot. Kim was definitely working during this era. Yes, the music was amazing. She was putting out hits, influencing, saying really explicit stuff, doing things I'd never done before, but she was also giving a different look to what female rappers were, because before, female rappers were more so dressing more masculine. Kim, being herself, she wanted to give more of a feminine appeal and being true to who she was.
No rapper has come out being hardcore and looking like a female.
So now we're leaving 98 and we're going to 99. Now hardcore was the foundation, but Notorious K.I.M. era from 1999 to 2001 is the blueprint. And let me tell you why. During this era, Kim started experimenting more than ever compared to Conspiracy and Hardcore. That Kim was bigger than ever. She hadn't put out an album since 96, but her name still was in circulation. She was still bubbling. She was still hot. She was still in the mix. During this era, she was more visible than ever. She was attending fashion shows. She was on over 20 magazine covers. She attended award shows and just showcasing who she was fashionably. But to just give you like an outlook during the fashion during this time for everyday people, it was kind of like the spark of the Y2K era. The color palette was filled with like shiny different black tones and reflective metallics, because they felt like we were moving into the future. A lot of popular outfits during this time included a lot of like mesh, box pleated or short leather skirt, shiny pants, sparkly shoes. For the men, they were wearing like leather jackets, statement dress shirts, like real dressed up, chunky shoes. There was a lot going on during that era. During that era, while she was influenced by that style, she was also influenced by the ballroom scene. And during this time, she was especially influenced by her and me, so we're definitely influenced by a lot of the trans women, aka femme queens in the ballroom. By using these influences and who she was as a person, she kind of adapted her own signature flamboyant style with over-the-top outfits to colorful wigs and with designer statement pieces. Also, Kim, during this time, she was being welcomed by the fashion industry, so she was kind of moving from buying these pieces with her own money to like the designer sending her stuff, her giving her stuff for free, and making even customs. And to be honest, 1999 could be its own video, because she was literally everywhere and making fashion statements back to back to back. Every time you saw Kim, it was something different. It was something to look at. It was something to be like, whoa, what is she doing? Who is this lady? So we can really break this down in categories. So let's talk about the hair during this era. This was the first time she would rock colorful hair outside of the music videos. So outside of, the Crush on You, she was wearing it to events and things like that. She was mostly during the hardcore era, she was definitely going back between the natural black and blonde, but she always kept it to those two during the hardcore era. Now Kim was starting to add mixtures of colors from pinks to lavenders, blue streaks, and more so. Different styles from straight to body wave to wet and wavy to even blonde shortcuts. Kim was doing it. I think you barely saw her rocking her natural hair or even black hair. A great example of Kim switching up her style was definitely her House of Style looks, where she was rocking different bathing suits and different wigs to match and wearing different accessories to go with it. Kim was definitely in her monochrome era, but she also would do a lot of color blocking as well. So she was doing a mixture of both. Also, it's kind of note to know that Kim was, also getting surgery. She was enhancing her body, her look with contacts, and she still looked amazing. During this time, Kim introduced designer hair. From Chanel, the iconic blue Chanel wig to that Beyonce recreated, to the Versace wig that she wore at a fashion show, wig where she flew to Milan, Italy after being in a shootout, and that's a legendary woman right there. Kim was also using ordinary pieces for her accessories during this era. She would wear goggles for belts. She had a Chanel helmet as an accessory. When she went to the Chanel store, she brought skis. Like, she was definitely experimenting with not just wearing regular accessories, but reutilizing them in different ways, causing us a moment. Kim was also attending things like the Vogue fashion show in 1999 with Alexander McQueen, who said she was his idol. She was performing for Donatella and sitting front row at her shows and walking fashion shows like Baby Fat and others. She also was featured in Vogue again. And this is where, she started to really get in her bag, from the iconic Interview magazine to the ID magazine, Essence, Vibe, The Source. She was in Elle magazine with Aaliyah, the Brat Missy, and she also was internationally being on a Japanese magazine called Lure. Now let's get into some notable looks during this era. I would definitely say, of course, you already know the MTV Music Awards that just really made her into more of a national/global sensation, which was the lavender bodysuit with the purple pasty look, which was influenced by Missy Elliott, contribution of Misa, her hairstyle Dion, and Kim. And a fun fact, after doing the 1999 MTV Music Awards, she shot the Quiet Storm remix where she had the blonde hair, biker hat with had a Tom Ford look on and the black outfit. So Kim was dressing, like I said, 1999 was look after look after look. The all pink Versace look that she went to the Met Gala. She was the first female rapper to go to the Met Gala. And I think she went to a award show that day too and won an award along with Jay-Z. The GQ magazine with the blonde hair and the black lipstick. I would definitely see something like that in 2024. It was so ahead of her time. Where she presented at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with this two-tone snakeskin look with purple and I think yellow with the curly hair. That was amazing. She had the Source Awards where again Beyonce recreated that with the blonde bang cut and bodysuit. Kim was stylish. She was pulling, real archival pieces. When she finally released the Notorious K.I.M., which one of her best-selling albums, wore a Vivienne Westwood Queen of Sheba dress, wore that to her album release party with a little kind of like Goldie-like crinkle cut hair, and she kind of wore the same hairstyle when she went on TRL with the I Love New York dress, that put her own spin on it. I think that was amazing. That was definitely a notable look. Some more looks, there's going to be a couple. I got a few more and then I'm done because there's so many. The one-leg custom pant that she wore at the David LaChapelle 30th anniversary, and where she wore like this pasties under this chain top and this headpiece with the blonde puffy hair. Even the Mac Viva Glam campaign, I think that was perfectly styled. Perfect makeup, the blonde bone straight hair, the over-the-top kind of like drag makeup that she wore. She was definitely into drag makeup during this time with Aang Zing. I think she said she was one of the first women in pop culture to do drag makeup. Notorious Big video. Oh, it was so many, from the white to the red, to the pink, just the monochrome looks and the color blocking, to the multicolored fur coat with the headband to match when she got out the car. Kim was just doing it. To even the scene where she recreated Grace Jones' look. Kim was going to fashion shows like the Mark Bauer fashion show with pictures with Donatella and the best friends photo shoot with Missy and Rose McGuire. Also, some history, she was rocking pink Timbs. Before that was even pink Timbs. She used to spray paint them at the Source Awards. She was just rocking just full Chanel at regular shows. Yeah, she was doing that before, but it was just over the top now. It was Chanel, everything from the head to the shirt to the belt to the pants to the shoes. It was Chanel fully out. She would definitely mix it up sometimes back in 95, 96 with just the bodysuit, glasses, and then like a Gucci shoe, something else. But she was fully Chanel'd out. Going into the 2001s, before she was wearing an all Fendi look. She was rocking Versace and On Moesha with the blonde ponytail and, you know, wearing corsets as a look. But also, I just want to take a real small section to talk about her and David LaChapelle chemistry. As you can see in these photos from her album to single covers, they were truly a match made in heaven. Each photo told its own story, like each specific one. They made history, and I think those photos can also be sourced to what a lot of people use on their mood board today. And she wasn't just really influencing other female rappers, she was influencing a lot of singers as well, and men as well. Her impact wasn't so linear, it was all over the place. You saw it in street style and costumes, and people wanted to show up and make a moment like her. For her it was natural, but for others it was like, whoa, I want to take this and do it too, you know. And I also want to mention that during this time she still was in her early 20s, staying up 20 hours to do photo shoots and you know, to travel, and dedicated time to her craft. This era really solidified Kim as a cultural icon only at 25 during this time. Her, Misa, Enzane, Dion were true visionaries to really push what fashion for a female rapper, but just for a woman to look like, because Kim literally did everything during these first three eras, like from the top, from really modest to overly flamboyant. She did everything. It's also good to note that during that time, Kim was on people's worst dress in 2001. People criticized her look, but that's because they just didn't understand. They weren't keeping up with the times. Again, Kim was a black woman doing these colorful looks, and that was pretty much judged by, you know, predominantly white people, so they didn't really see the vision and couldn't really tell until later on, and they started seeing other people do it. So it really goes to show that she had a vision and she kept to it, and that should be something that we all should take from it.
And I can have influence on them, you know. However, there can only be one Kim. One Queen Bee. Sorry, guys.